Right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ordinary Town Council meeting on Tuesday, the 25th of August, 2020. Apologies. Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Gardner, Councillor Grayson, Councillor McAloon, Councillor Ranyard, and Councillor Smith. Declaration of interest? None received. Members' dispensation? None given. Public questions? None for this evening. Planning? We have one thing on planning, which is a letter which is preempting some planning applications coming in. I did send it round to members so that you could reply as individuals, but if the Town Council want to send a reply, then that needs to be discussed this evening so I can respond on behalf of the Town Council. Does anyone want to comment on that? Durham Gate?
Yes, Mayor, if that's possible. It's Neil Foster.
Yes, Councillor Foster?
Yes, I will be sending a personal reply, but from a Town Council point of view, I think there are a couple of concerns that we need to identify. The first is that while retail was always in the plan, I understand in changing circumstances, we need to advance that. What we need to be careful of is that any retail up at Durham Gate doesn't detract from the retail in the town centre. This was always a key point, and one that needs to be reinforced in writing. Yes, it's perfectly acceptable to have a small local store up there to satisfy the needs up there. Yes, it was always envisaged that you would have things like hairdressers and potentially a cafe or something like that. I mean, at one time we were talking about a stationery shop, but I suppose those are things of the past. But what we need to make sure that there's no attempt to add the kind of retail businesses there that would detract from the town centre. So I think we need to reinforce that. I'm also particularly concerned, given that the last round of planning permissions were given on the grounds that there'll be no additional building on the other side of the road, what they describe as the other side of Arlington Road. I'm concerned that that is now being handed over for additional housing. I accept the need for the older persons accommodation, that's fine. But this other side of Arlington Road, I think, is a concern. And certainly in my reply, I'll be emphasising that. I hope that's okay.
That's fine. What would we, Councillor Malloy, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, along again with the retail that's going in there, I'm concerned that they may be looking to duplicate the same type of retail that's already exists around the Thinford area. Like there's the Greggs, Subway. There's a lot of concentrating on food retail. So I think picking up on what members of the town, I've been saying members of the public, is that they want more diverse when it comes to retail rather than having the same again in different locations. So I think we must be wary of if they are going to duplicate what's already there.
Anybody else like to comment? So what do we want to do? Do we want to send a letter from the Town Council, or will we like? Sorry. Right, would you, Sir Councillor Foster, would you like the town? Councillor Thompson, Kevin Thompson?
Yeah, I take on board what Councillor Foster said around the retail, but I have been doing some work on it. And although DPP Consultation Company is a joint one between Durham Gate and Living, they are not dependent on each other. The Living development is to be built on land that already has outline permission for residential development. And because of this, Living are currently in the process of preparing a reserved matters application, which they hope to submit early next month. The Durham County Plan currently under review, and near completion, is in favour of older persons accommodation, and I support that. Regarding the application for Durham Gate residential properties at the expense of 440,000 square feet of Grade A office space, they will first have to request a change of use before they can go ahead to try and plan residential buildings. And that, I believe, is some conversations about to take place. This is contradictory to the county plan, the taking away the 440,000 square feet of grade A office space. And we'll have to make, and Durham Gate will have to make an economic case to DCC for allowing them to change this change of use. Remember, when this was initially approved, this office space was to generate 3,000 jobs for Spennymoor. So this is significant. I spoke to the Durham County Council and they are quite adamant that Durham Gate, for their side of the residential building, will have to make an economic case to do away with the 440,000 square feet of office space. And I, like Councillor Foster, will be making some recommendation. I'm not the ward member, but it is Spennymoor, and I will be making some recommendations as well. Thank you, Chair.
Right, does everyone want the Spennymoor Town Council to send anything to the county?
No, it's not going to the county as yet. It's going in response to this letter.
All right, in response to DPP letter. Do you want the Town Council to send some sort of response?
Yes.
Okay. Right, that was run.
Yes, please.
Right, okay, thank you, Councillor Hiley and Councillor Foster.
So
And I think we should be sending a response as well. Sorry, but I seem to be having difficulties with the screen, but yes, we need, this is quite significant for Spennymoor, and I think we should, we maybe should have a meeting on it as well. But I think it's significant that they're trying to do away with 3,000 jobs or the potential of 3,000 jobs. We know we've got Durham Gate North now and something start to creep onto there, but this is significant. We've got plenty of houses, it's jobs we want.
can I just remind members to use the request to speak function, please, in the chat, so that we can put people in order of how they're requesting to speak. Thank you.
Right,
It's not coming up. I'm not getting the chat to come up.
right, Councillor Merchant?
Yeah, just to follow on from Kevin's question, do you know if the removal of the office space and the replacement with the houses is linked to Durham Gate now owning, I think, all of the land, all the way down to the Coach and Horses? And is there intention to put the office space down there? Because I know there's already the learning, is it the learning curve down there?
At the moment, from a town council point of view, the only information we have is what's in the letter. I don't know if DCC councillors have anything.
Councillor Hiley, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just a remark what Councillor Thompson says. Excuse me. With regards to living having or proposed to have elderly accommodation up in Durham Gate. Can you enlighten on how many of these homes are going to be proposed for Durham Gate?
Councillor Thompson, Kevin Thompson. Can you unmute yourself, please, Kevin?
I've made some inquiries, but because it's not an actual planning application as such, nobody really knows. But someone who has a good idea of a houses per hectare, whatever, said it could be well be 100 of the ordinary residential properties, but obviously 39 of the old people's bungalows is pretty firm.
Right.
So to summarise, I'm going to respond to this consultation on behalf of the Town Council, raising an issue with the office space and the removal or reduction in that and the impact on possible jobs. I shall be talking about retail and the hope that whatever retail is put over at Durham Gate does not detract from the town centre. And we'll be raising an issue as to the amount and type of housing, which we don't know yet because the planning application hasn't gone in. What I'm assuming is they've sent this letter and they've sent this consultation out to the community before they put the planning in, so that hopefully this will impact on what they put in the planning application and will influence it.
Right. Everyone happy with that? Right, can we move on to the minutes to submit and if approved, confirm as correct record the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Town Council held on Tuesday, the 25th of February.
Madam Mayor, I'll move those minutes.
Thank you. And do we have a second? Or just move them? Do we have a seconder?
I'll second them, Elizabeth.
Right, thank you, Councillor Mason. Right, committee minutes to receive and approve as correct record the minutes of the meetings of the undermentioned standing committees of the council. Policy and Resources Committee, the 3rd of March.
Madam Mayor, move the minutes of the Policy and Resources Committee dated the 3rd of March as a true and correct record.
Do we have a seconder? No seconder?
Yeah, I'll second them, Elizabeth.
Right, thank you. Facilities and Recreation Committee, the 10th of March 2020.
I'll move them, Chair.
Do we have a seconder?
That's the correct record.
I'll
Yeah, second those
them,
minutes.
Chair.
Who seconded there, sorry? Right, Councillor Malloy seconded those. The ICT Working Party, 13th of July. Is anybody here that was present at that meeting?
Chair, there was only Councillor Gardner, Councillor Foster and myself and Kathy, so I'm quite happy to propose them, yes.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Policy and Resources Committee, 4th of August.
Madam Mayor, move the minutes of the Policy and Resources Committee held on the 4th of August as a true and correct record.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second those, Madam Mayor.
That was Councillor Harmer. The Facilities and Recreation Committee, the 11th of August.
Can I just say that I've had a request from Councillor Mr and Mrs Madison to reflect in the minutes that they have no audio for this meeting. So the minutes will be amended. So we're asking you to approve with that addition.
Okay. Sorry, nobody who's proposing them? Any
Are
seconders?
you talking about the F&R meeting on the August the 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm quite happy to propose them, Chair.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second again, Chair.
Councillor Malloy. Right. Mayor's communications, we'll just take those as being read. Performance management. Is that over to
Move them, Madam Mayor.
any seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hiley. That's Councillor Geldart and Councillor Hiley. And the performance management?
No.
No, that's not there.
Review of Internal Audit Service.
Right. Review of Internal Audit Service, item number 10.
I move the recommendations, Madam Mayor.
I'll
Chair,
second
may
that.
I just say something there?
Yes, Councillor Thompson?
This is am I right in thinking this is the same document that appeared as item 8 on the P&R meeting last week? I just wondered if there was any reason why it's appearing again, saying that I think we may have proposed some changes. It was item 8 on the P&R.
Legislation requires us to approve these at full council. So we took them to an earlier meeting in case there were any queries, and now we bring it in for final approval.
Right. Risk management?
Move the recommendations.
Yeah, it's the same with this report. It had to go to an earlier meeting in case there were any changes, and we have added in the changes that Councillor Thompson wanted in relation to adding further risks into COVID, but it does need to be ratified at council today.
Move to accept.
Moved, councillor Hiley, who's seconding that, please?
On a point of order, Madam Mayor, I've already moved the recommendations.
Oh, beg your pardon, so councillor Hiley, will you?
Second them.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Thank you. Annual review of the effectiveness of the council's system of internal control.
I'll move the recommendations, Madam Mayor.
Seconder,
I'll
Chair,
second.
it's all been a
councillor
bit too
Thompson,
quick. It's all been a bit too quick for me to write RTS it and send it. I just would like to make a comment and that we should be thinking about it going forward. The Spennymoor Town Council system of internal control establish a strategic aim and targets via the council action plan. I don't think we've actually got an action plan at present. I think we need to try and resolve that situation in the coming weeks and months.
thank you. Anything else, any more comments? Right, we'll go to item 12. Oh, the internal audit. Oh, sorry, just done it. Item 13. Annual governance and accountability return.
Point
Okay.
1 first, please.
To request members approve the annual governance and accountability return, AGAR 2019-20, as presented and supported by Policy and Resources on the 4th of August 2020.
Move
Do
draft.
we have a mover and a seconder, please? Is it approved?
Madam Mayor, I've put a request to speak in, but it doesn't seem to have been acknowledged. In relation to this item, can I move that the council agree to the submission of the annual governance and accountability return and report? In particular, that they receive a note to the annual internal audit report on page 3 of the return, approval of the annual governance statement on page 4, and approval of the accountant statements on page 5.
Each one has to be approved separately, each of those 3 points, and noted in the minutes separately.
So which one next? All right, can you move and second that, please? Councillor Gelder, do you want to move it?
So point 13I,
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to take the clerk's advice, and I move part 13I first.
Right, thank you. Seconded?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Harmer.
the next point, point 13II.
Move as read.
Second
Right,
that.
thank you. Seconder? Seconder, please.
Second that.
Oh, councillor Hiley, thank you.
And the third point, please, approval of the accountant statement.
Move as read.
Seconder?
I'll second
that.
that.
Thank you, councillor Harmer. Right, so councillor Tracy, are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's great. That's how it has to be approved and seconded. So thank you.
Can we move on to item 14, request to use town council land? Any comments?
As the report outlines, recently we've been inundated with, well, initially we noticed that people were advertising the use of Jubilee Park and that they were going to do organised exercise activity, charging their clients. We subsequently contacted all of these groups and advised that they didn't have permission to do so. We're still receiving requests, so it's to look at what the town council wants to do going forward. The purpose of my report is just to outline that we do offer the park for free for community groups and not-for-profit groups. However, as I say, we're now getting commercial organisations wanting to use the park, and I feel if the town council wants to allow that to happen, then we need to set down some rules and requirements and try and mitigate the increased risk to the town council. So that's the basis of the report.
And what about the proposals? Does anyone want to comment on those? And recommendations that the members provide advice and guidance to officers re sections 5.2 and 5.3. Any comments on those?
Chair, I've sent the RTS.
Yeah.
Right. Right, councillor Kevin Thompson, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, but I did send it. What about insurance cover? People who are making a profit should we be looking for them to somehow make a contribution to our insurance? I know we're just starting to do this discussion, but insurance seems to be very important in the park, especially after that last accident we had. What about the insurance?
As you can see in the report, I've spoken to our solicitors, and having worked in personal injury, I knew what they were going to say. If somebody is injured in the park and they're part of an organised activity, any solicitor would advise them to sue both the organiser of the activity and the landowner, which would be the town council. This is in an effort to ensure that they get some payout from one organisation or the other. I sent round some documentation earlier to members, which I've been searching on the internet for days, and I found another council down south which does allow exercise activities, but there are restrictions placed on that. And within the agreement, they actually issue licenses and charge a fee. They also insist on a certain level of insurance by the other party. And then they seek to mitigate the risk. However, we cannot eliminate the risk. If an accident does occur, any accident will be looked at on its own merits. So it depends what type of accident it is, what's caused the accident. For instance, if we said to an exercise group, this is the designated area of the park you can use, and we have that in writing, and then one of their clients goes outside of that area and is injured, that would be some mitigation against the claim, but it might not negate it completely. The other thing I wanted to look at, if the town council does want to go ahead with allowing commercial organisations to undertake activities, is putting restrictions on what they can use in the park, because other areas have had trees damaged, memorial benches damaged. They take over the park, they're very loud, they're very noisy, they upset normal park users. So the documents I sent out earlier today would actually place some restrictions on, but it's about getting everything documented. So if we knew that someone was coming into the park at a certain time, we would ensure that that area had been looked at from a health and safety perspective. But we also place an onus on the organiser of the event to also look and check for health involved, their health and safety, etc., and look at all of the aspects as well. But as I say, we cannot eliminate Sorry, where did I get to?
I thought that was me.
Sorry, the mayor muted me. Councillor Thompson, where did you hear up till?
I wasn't quite sure.
Stop.
I did have an RTS in, but I think in your dialogue there, you probably, you probably answered the question that we can't totally negate the risk. The council will always have some risk. Doesn't matter what we do. Am I right in thinking that? Is that what you said?
Right, so yeah, that's basically what I said. But we would have written agreements with them. We would decide when they could use the park, where they could be in the park. They would have to carry out health and safety risk assessments. They would have to provide details of first aid, the qualifications of themselves and any trainers that are involved. So that basically, if there was a claim against us, we could then try and mitigate. We could still be found guilty of causing an accident, but we could mitigate any costs, which is basically what we did with the last case. At one point, we were being told we could be looking at £1 million payout, and it was substantially less than that because of the evidence we could provide of inspections, witness statements, etc. So if the council does decide to go ahead and allow commercial organisations in the park, which will increase the risk, we just need to make sure that we dot the I's and cross the T's, and that people are signing up to a suitable licence or contract for which we could make a charge.
Sorry about that. Am I on? Sorry about that. We're sharing the same mic, so I thought I was on mute. I was muting myself. Right. I think, is it Councillor Machin, then Foster, then Hiley? Have you all asked to request to speak?
Well, I have, yeah. I'm happy with the comments that made by the town clerk. If we can document all of that so that we can actually see the actions that we're proposing to take for the voluntary groups and for the commercial groups, and we can take all of the actions that are available to us to try and mitigate the risk, then I think that will be worth seeing and could be the basis for moving forward. I don't think we should be bothered about charging commercial organisations if they want to use the park, personally.
Councillor Foster, is this the topic you want request to speak?
Yes, it is. And again, following on from the advice of the town clerk. My concern is that if we were to agree to somebody doing this, and even when we set the limits and the parameters, you did mention that the council had problems with noise, etc. We need to make sure that we can, if we decide to stop it, be in such a position as to be able to stop it fairly quickly, if that was the situation. My other concern is if we were going to sort of allow this space to be used, how would we stop another organisation saying, hang on, why have you allowed them to do it when you didn't make it available for anybody in the town? The same, for example, with the shop where we advertised this space was available if you want to do this. And perhaps, say if there are several people who are interested, I do think that if we are going down this line to at least offset some of the costs, we should be taking a percentage of the profit. And we've also got to be very focused on the number of people who are being involved in any child protection issues that go alongside it. So I'm keen to go ahead, but we need to make sure that we've covered all the bases. And I think the town clerk's report is a good start.
Town clerk.
I think one of the other things we may have to do as well is consult with the unions, because as part of any license agreement, we would be saying to these groups that we could remove them from the park. Now, our staff don't have any powers or anything like that, and they may be uncomfortable doing this. So I think we'll have to consult the staff and the unions as well.
Councillor Highley, did you want to say something here? Or is this...
I'm all right, yeah. I mean, my personal view is that Jubilee Park is a public park and should be left for the sole purpose of the public. If we want to put commercial interest in there, there should be for the benefit of the general public and not for profiteering from other organisations like Keep Fit and running clubs and stuff like this. Personally, I disagree with anything that will take a public park and enhance commercial activities in it.
Right, Councillor Thompson, followed by Councillor Malloy.
My questions have been answered by the previous speakers.
Right, thank you. Councillor Malloy, do you have something to say?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, taking on board both Councillor Foster and Councillor Highley's comments. They've made both very good comments, and it is one of them. It is a public park, and we should encourage for public use. And I think in the current situation we're in, that people from fitness clubs, so to speak, sports clubs, they've wanted to continue with the training and that, and they've been asked to do it outside, so that's why they've been coming to Jubilee Park. And Councillor Foster's quite right, and if a commercial business wants to profit from it, then we should have a share of the profits, as in to cover our costings and that. So I'm inclined to go along that way. Also, I appreciate what the town clerk says about speaking to the unions and enforcing it, and that our staff haven't got the powers to eject people from the park if they don't comply. But maybe an alternative to look at is not giving them renewing the license the next time they want to use our facilities, rather than putting our staff in an awkward situation.
Right, so what do we have a vote on this, or right? And who would like to propose that we go ahead with the recommendations, the proposals that Catherine have
So 5.2 is asking, do you wish to allow commercial activity of this type in the park?
I'd like to propose against that.
Well, we're going to go through in alphabetical order, each member.
Before we vote, sorry, Elizabeth, can I just ask if we can see the full documentation before we vote? Because I think it matters to see what risk we're going to mitigate, try and mitigate, and how.
Wants the full documentation. There isn't any.
I can provide that, and I can bring this back to a further meeting.
That would be where I'd like to move that, if that's okay.
Do we have a seconder for that?
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Right. All those in favour of deferring this? Right, no? Oh, sorry. Councillor Abley.
Yes, defer.
Councillor Foster?
Defer.
Councillor Geldart?
Yeah, move to defer.
Councillor Harmer?
Move to defer.
Councillor Ian Merchant and Judith Merchant? Defer.
Move to defer.
To defer.
Councillor Malloy?
Fair.
Councillor Kathy Thompson?
Defer, please.
Oh, sorry, Councillor O'Hare, because I haven't got your picture in front of me. Sorry, Councillor O'Hare?
Defer.
Right. Councillor Kathy Thompson?
Defer.
Councillor Kevin Thompson?
Defer.
Councillor Lisa Thompson?
Defer.
And myself. Defer.
That's unanimous. We'll defer it, and I'll bring some further information back to another meeting. Thank you.
I'll defer.
So everyone's happy with that? Right, item 15, a letter of appreciation for the town council sent to Councillor Keldart. I also received one, but unfortunately I shredded it. I thought I don't like a lot of paperwork. So just to note the letter of appreciation. Is that it? Right, I'd like to close the meeting unless anybody else has any comments. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye.
Thank you.